What is up, everybody? Range Breakers here, back from vacation. Was enjoying the end of summer and have fully committed to only trading with automation and not placing any trades manually. I found myself on a couple summer days rushing to get to the computer to manually make a trade and then waiting for hours to get the setup. So at this point, I'm only using Edgeful, Tradevate, and one prop firm. I'm testing my funded futures, which I've never used before because I guess they allow automation. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm setting that up. So my current setup is I spend most of my time in Tradingview, creating different strategies. This is with Edgeful. I've got some other stuff I've made with ChatGPT. And then once I have it set up, this is not it, but that I think is good. I go in, I make an alert. And right now we've got 3 alerts. So I got 3 setups that will then trigger in Tradevate. So it makes the trade for me. So I don't have to do anything. And then the other Tradevate will connect to my funded futures and make that trade too. So my most important thing is to get settings and backtests that I'm confident in so that the trades are good. And then I don't have to sit in front of the computer, get stressed, watch the trade, babysit it. So the next part of this, so automation, I'm all in there, is I want to get your opinion because I keep changing my settings. And I think the biggest thing is when you do a backtest, I'll show you one. So I got 2 setups. This is the last, this is 1 year. It looks very different when you're backtesting, and some of that's because you're overfitting to get best results. But when you actually trade it, I had a setup, for example, and this is the stock setup, but I had instead of a 1 to 2 negative RR, meaning your profit's half of what your stop is, I had one day that was a 1 to 7. Okay, so massive. You would have to get 7 winning trades to break even. But the second part of that, I had a max orb size of 4. So, and I had no max loss. So although my backtest, this is not it, had some insane profit factor and it looked really good, I didn't really realize until I was sizing up that a 1 to 7 with a huge orb, if you lose, is an absolute massive loss. So I was feeling really good about one strategy. And of course, when I sized up that day that had the worst RR and the biggest orb size, was a loser. So I decided to change again. And this is why I don't necessarily share my settings, because it's dynamic and my trading style will differ from yours of what you're cool with. But I've tried to be more conservative, and every setup I have has a max loss and has an orb size that is capped, whether it's 1, 1.5, 2, could be 0.5. It doesn't matter. But I realized, wow, 4% orb size on NQ can be, I don't know how big it can be, but the orb size on my 1 to 7 was like 250 or 300 points. It was huge. And I really didn't realize that until I was trading it live. So where am I at now with setups? I've got automations rocking, which I'm so pumped about. And I have only really 2 setups that I feel somewhat confident in. And I'm trying to move to all positive RR. So this is what I am calling, what am I calling this? Micro scalp. And I've got the breakdown here. So I'll go over this and then see, I want to get your opinion on what you would trade. But so I'm calling this the micro scalp. So this is the last year on one contract, 24K P&L, 1205 drawdown, 88% win rate, which is ridiculous. So all I'm trying to do now, this is just launched, is to see if this matches the win rate and if I can trade it. So what I've done differently than my previous is this has a max loss of 640 on one contract. So no matter what I do, it's going to be 640, and I have capped the orb. So it's not 4, it's much smaller. I think it's 1 something. So this is the micro scalp. Looks really good. The trades are small, so I'm worried about them being too small. This is only 8 points. This one's 8, 7. So really, we're going to see how this trades moving forward. And this looks really good, but we'll see in real life because that negative RR and large orb size killed me. So I've gotten rid of all those so that I can handle when I lose and I know what it's going to be. This is a very different strategy than anything I've done because it has there's a train going by, a low trade win rate. So only a 43.66 and a 1.594. So both smaller, lower numbers than I typically would trade, but the P&L is much higher. So this has a much higher, and it's a positive RR. So what I've done, I've put together a just simple spreadsheet of how I'm going to, because the goal is just to make as many back tests as I can over different hypotheses and then just test them and see which one is the best over a long period of time. And as I trade them, can I stick with it? Because my other setup with the really bad negative RR trade setup and a huge orb size, it would wipe out too many winning days and to recover, even though the back tests look good. So the first one, this is the back test results for last 365 days. Micro scalp, calling it negative RR. So here's all this stuff is in Tradingview, but I'm trying to figure out an easy way for me to look at this and say, okay, this is truly superior and I can trade it. So you have your P&L, obviously. And here's my second strategy. I'm calling that eagle eye in the sky. That's a positive RR. Bigger P&L, but bigger max drawdown. So the first thing that I'm looking at, which I don't see in Tradingview, is P&L to drawdown ratio, meaning what is the P&L compared to the drawdown? So this is 20.6. So if you multiply the drawdown times 20, that gives you the P&L. Whereas if you multiply this drawdown, 4,565 to get 37,000, that's an 8.3. So the micro scalp has a better ratio of P&L to max drawdown. So then I went a step further, and this is where Tradovate really, I'm super excited about this because Thinkorswim had a huge, massive capital requirement or in terms of margin for day trading NQ, whereas Tradovate only has $1,000 margin requirement, which is insane. So what I want to do is add the margin plus the max drawdown. This is just an estimate, but max drawdown could be much higher in real life. But for example, I've added the margin per contract, so 1,000, and then let's say the max drawdown is 1,200. So 2,205, and same thing with the second strategy, eagle eye in the sky. 5,565 for one contract when you add the margin of 1,000 plus the max drawdown. And I think this ratio, which I'm calling the P&L to margin ratio, is probably the most important ratio to have because it's how efficient your capital is. And if it's more efficient, you can add more contracts and scale up and make the most money. Because originally I was thinking the eagle eye in the sky was going to be much more efficient because it was positive RR. It has a 2.3 to 1 positive RR on average, not every day. Whereas the micro scalp is a negative 1 to 4 RR. So you're going to win more, but when you lose, it's 4 losses essentially worth. I did add a max loss for both. Eagle Eye has a larger max loss, and then the largest winning trade is only 620, so it's about the same, a little bit smaller than the max loss. Whereas Eagle Eye in the Sky with the positive RR has a larger winning trade for last year. And then same for 4 years ago. Largest winning trade's 4,000 versus 620. And then if you look on a long, and I'm all about more data, as many trades as possible instead of overfitting and just doing 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. This is since 2021. And the P&L to margin ratio, which I'm trying to decide if this is the factor that I'm going to use solely, is 15.82 for Eagle Eye in the Sky, and the microscalp's 13.7. So over the long run, Eagle Eye in the Sky, a positive RR strategy, seems to be more efficient because over that time it made 123,000 on 6,835 drawdown and 1,000 needed for margin, which means 7,835. Whereas the microscalp only had a 3,000 drawdown with the 1,000 margin needed was 4,075, so 13.79. So which one is truly better? Do you trust the results 4 years ago or the most recent? So if you went for the 4 years, you have Eagle Eye in the Sky. I may have to change the names, but just so I know what they are. With the positive RR, which has the best P&L to margin ratio, or recently, the last year, the microscalp has the better double P&L to margin ratio. But that could just be because there's not enough trades. But either way, both of these in the last year look better. Their win rates are higher. The profit factors are higher. So my question to you is, which one would you trade? Would you trade a negative RR trade where if you lose one trade, it's going to take 4 to get it back, but you're going to win supposedly 88% of the time? Or would you trade a 43% win rate, but a 2.3, so much larger winners than losers? And this is kind of what it looks like on the positive RR, only 43% winners. This is the equity curve. And then this is so 37 on one contract, 24, but only 1,200. And this is the micro scalp. So which one would you trade and why? Let me know. So from here, all I'm doing, I have the algo set up. And then, so really it's Tradingview. I set it up. I make an alert. The alert then goes, I go in here and connect it to the broker. So really, I'm using Edgeful, even if I get my own strategies. So I have these other setups that I'm working on. You can use any setup and then automate it to go through Tradevate, which I'm super excited about because that's really the goal. Get the best back-tested results I can get, automate them, and then I will no longer be emotional about it, and I hopefully can truly size up. So that's what I've been doing with my weeks off of YouTube. I am back, and I'm going to update you guys on, hopefully, I'm trying this micro scalp on a prop firm challenge with my funded futures, which I'm not necessarily a big prop firm fan per se, but with the automations, I'm going to give it a go. So I'm actually testing both of these strategies on my funded futures as well as my own personal account, all going through Tradevate with the low margins. So we're going to see what happens. So I hope to add another, because really I'm turning into hopefully just someone who can create great strategies, and I can run many, many, many strategies. So if they all look good and profitable, why not run them all? So I hope you guys are doing well. Hopefully this makes sense. If you like what you're hearing, subscribe, and good luck trading. We'll talk soon. Thanks a lot, guys.